All right, here's my Excel project. To explain the background behind it, I work for BYU Independent Study, and we do a big mailing once per year where we send out a bunch of our catalogs and our course pamphlets, I guess, to a bunch of different counselors that we work with, and we keep track of them in the spreadsheet. You can see there's over 5,000 different addresses that we sent catalogs to this time. And basically, my manager gave me the task that he wanted me to keep track of which addresses were invalid, based on based on which mailings got sent back to us. So every time we get a mailing returned, he wanted me to have some way to keep track of those addresses. So let's say, for example, and when he gave me this spreadsheet, it had up to column L, and then I added column M and N here. And column M is just a returned row where you can select yes here. That's some data validation, and then conditional formatting makes it show up in red, just that it's obvious. Column N here is a concatenated name of the school, which has like the school name and all of its address information, because there are some school names that are repeated. So let's use this one as an example. Doherty Valley High School. I added this sheet as well, and university, HSS, and PO and numbers are just sheets that my manager was working with. I added this invalid addresses sheet, and this basically just puts it into a more aesthetically pleasing format. So the full name uses the filter function to check the whole concatenated name list, which is column N, and then check if there's a yes in the return column, and if not, return no matches. So that goes through. We have been using this, so there are about 15 there, including this one that we just selected, and then uses an XLOOKUP to check for whatever is in column A, which is the full concatenated name, check it against the full concatenated name on the full list sheet, and then return whatever's in column A. So this will just return the contact name. It's the same for all of these, just returns column B instead, or column C, etc. The if and is blank statement that is kind of wrapped around everything just makes sure that this formula doesn't throw an error when it's pasted down. So, for example, I actually don't think I remembered to paste this one all the way down. We don't want this to have an error because there's nothing in column A. And of course, column A is going to be dynamic because we'll be continuously updating which mailings have been returned. So like, even for example, if we delete this, there's no errors with blanks, or looking up something that's not actually there. So that's the purpose of the if statement. And then we have a couple of checks in place. So I have an XLOOKUP for the returned column as well, even though that's not necessary information, just to make sure it says yes in all of these. This accuracy check here, this formula just counts. COUNTA, of course, counts anything that's not blank in this sheet on column A, which is just the school name. And then the count of yes in the full sheet just counts another COUNTA function, M2 to M5100, whatever. And if those are the same number, this will show up in green, and if it's not, it'll show up in red. So I thought this was maybe not a super interesting project, honestly, but a very practical solution for a task that my manager wanted me to do. And it involved a lot of concepts that we did in class, like data validation and conditional formatting, counting and summing, some text functions with the concatenation, and lookups as well. So that's my project.